Have you ever had that really hard to rent vacant property? Everything else is renting, but that one property just sits there day after week, and then that turns into months, and the property is just vacant. And what do? It is so hard to get rented. Well, let me share with you a couple levers you can pull to get those hard to rent properties rented. At the end of the video, I'll answer specifically the question as well. What do you do when the owner says don't drop the rent? That was a question that was posted on our Facebook group page. And by the way, if you haven't joined our brand new Facebook group yet, jump on Facebook, search PM Build. You'll find our group there, answer a question, and we can get you in there. You'll find some interesting information on our new Facebook group. So what do? The first lever we have to pull in getting a hard to rent property rented is making sure the property is clean and updated. Now those are two separate things. Ideally, we want the property as updated as is realistic. Sometimes you can't bring an old property to up to full updated standards, but do the things you can do. Replace the light fixtures, put a fresh coat of paint in the property. Updated is not an exact science, but cleanliness, my friends, is. Get the property to sparkle, especially if it's not updated, if it's harder to rent, if it has other problems in the property. Cleanliness should not be overlooked. So a couple things specifically around that. Fresh paint can do wonders on an older property that needs updating, interior and or exterior. Secondly, freshen the exterior. Put some new mulch in the flower bed. Repaint the front door. Repaint the garage door. Make the outside very, very appealing so that you're going to draw in more interest. And smell cannot be overlooked. You can have the most beautiful property in the world, but if a person walks in the front door and it smells like cat, they're not going to rent it. You've got to do whatever you need to do to make sure the property smells fresh, looks clean. Okay, so let's pretend that we've done everything there. We've said, nope, the property is fully updated. The property is as clean and spick and span as it can be. We've pulled that lever. Lever number 2, because the property still isn't renting. Our marketing must be comprehensive and effective. Now, hopefully you can check this box very, very easily, but let's ensure that you are doing everything that you should be doing as a property manager to market the property to the masses. Make sure that you're on all the major websites. Make sure your photos are updated. They're somewhat professional. You should be doing a video tour of that property, that you list all the features, you give the information, and you blast that out so that no matter where someone goes online to look for properties for rent, they're going to find your property. Now, hopefully you have that done. We have other videos where we talk about the best marketing tactics and the ways to do that, but make sure you pull that lever and you check that box. Number 3, still can't get the thing rented. Well, now what you may want to consider doing is offering some move-in incentives. Now, move-in incentives can be all over the board. Our recommendation are a couple things. Number 1, offer a dollar amount off, not a percentage off. So don't do this. Don't say 50% off the first month's rent or 15% off the last month's rent. That just confuses people. Make it easy to understand. Something like this: $100, first month's rent equals $100, or $500 off the first month's rent. The simpler you can make it, the better. But we found that dollar amounts speak more to people than percentages off. You've got to make it really easy to understand. Now, you can get creative with this, but don't get so creative that it becomes confusing. Make it very, very straightforward. First month's rent equals $1. That's a move-in incentive. $500 off first month's rent. Give it on the upfront and make it attractional to get those people who are considering your property versus another come to your property. Now, lever number 4, if that's still not working, is to simply drop the rent. Any property, and I mean any property, will rent at the right price. You could have a property that is just bad part of town, it's old, maybe it's not clean, maybe it's not updated, it's got noisy dogs on both sides, but if you drop the rent to $7 a month, my friends, I promise, it will get rented. Now, this is where you need to talk to your owner clients about that to make sure that they understand what the market is giving for rent. You can't make this up. The market demands what the market demands. So what do? What if that owner's like, no, I'm sorry. My mortgage is $1,200 a month. I have to rent it for $1,300 a month, so I have enough money to kind of pay you your fee and cover my expenses. What do we say to that? Well, before I answer that question, I want to thank the sponsor for this video, BlanketHomes. What happens if that owner decides they want to sell the home? They can't rent it, and they say, well, let's just sell it. What you should be able to say is, okay, no problem, Mr. Owner. Let me contact my existing owner clientele group and see if I can have any of them interested in buying it. That's what Blanket Homes can do for you. They are a marketplace, an internal marketplace where you can list your property for rent through Blanket, but they white label it to you, and they can compare and contrast other properties. It lets you keep the properties that you're managing. When an owner wants to let it go, it helps you retain that property through the sales side. Not only that, but they also have an owner investor dashboard so that your owner clients, every one of them, can log in and they see the value of their property, not just the value from a Zillow type of a thing, but they see the value based upon current valuation, taking into consideration their mortgage payment, taking into consideration other financial factors that you may not put into your software. Now, if you're scratching your head and you're saying, well, that sounds interesting, I'm a little bit confused, it's not that confusing. It is slick. I've got the demo. It is impressive, my friends. Jump on their website, BlanketHomes.com. I know these guys. They're impressive. Reach out, get the demo, find out how they can layer on. It talks to your software. It requires no additional work from you. This will make you look more like a professional investor, or a professional advisor, a real estate advisor to your clients when they see the data and the information you can provide to them through Blanket Homes. Okay, so let's go back. Owner says, no, I can't drop the rent. This is where you, as the professional property manager, need to be able to communicate effectively with your owner client using things, by the way, like Blanket, to show them and to explain to them what the market rate is of their home. So a couple pieces of advice that way. Number one, show market comps. And you say, well, Mark, how do I show market comps? Well, here's a place that Zillow can be your friend. This is a screenshot. I went into Denver, which is where we manage, and I put in single family homes, 3-bed, 2 baths in Denver, and it maps it out for you. So I can say to an owner client who has a property listed for rent right there, hey, Mr. Owner Client, let me show you the competition you're dealing with. Here's all the other properties, and you can send them the link, you can send them the screenshot. Give them a sense of why it is so hard to get this property rented, because there's a lot of competition. So show them, educate them through online tools such as that. Secondly, you want to establish a proactive plan on the front end. So when you're talking to a prospective client and they're considering hiring you to manage the property, but they tell you, I want $2,000 a month for this property, and you're thinking, gosh, this thing isn't going to go for more than $1,500, but you really want the account, and so you say, well, okay, I'll go ahead and list it for $2,000. Don't do that. At a minimum, do this. Say, Mr. Owner, the market rent per our analysis is $1,500. Now, if we want to try it at $1,800 initially on the front end, I'm comfortable doing that, but we have to have a proactive plan in place. So what that means, Mr. Owner, is we'll list it for $1,800, but if it's been 7 days and we've had no activity and no showings, we're going to need to drop the rent by $100 on day 7. Are you okay with that? Get that proactive plan set up on the front end. That's what a professional does. That's what you should be doing. You could take it further. You could say, we'll drop it $100 a week until we get closer to that market rental rate point. So that way, sure, I'll go ahead and try to list it for the higher amount, but I'm not just going to list it and leave it there, which takes us to point number 3. You need to set a max timeline for you internally. Maybe it's 30 days, maybe it's 60 days, maybe it's 100 days. But there needs to be a point where you internally say, I'm sorry, Mr. Owner, I can't just keep spinning my wheels, spending my effort trying to get this thing rented for $2,000 a month when I know the market rent is $1,500 and now it's been 100 days and we've had 3 calls and 1 showing. I can't do that. Set a date for you internally where you say, once we hit this trigger, I need to reach out to the owner and say, Mr. Owner, I'm sorry. I'm not doing you any favors. You've hired me to get this property rented, and I can't get it rented for you for $2,000 a month. I'm sorry, I just can't do that. So I think it's going to be best if we just terminate our management agreement, give the property back to you, because I'm not doing my job. I'm not doing what you have hired me to do. Now, it's not a matter of whose fault it is at that point, but it's setting a timeline so that that thing doesn't just hang out there forever, and forever. So show some market comps, establish a proactive plan, and then set a max time limit on that. Hey, my friends, how else can we help you? Jump on our website, pmbuild.com. You will find more information and opportunities for things that we have in place, from our video coaching to our visit our office event, to our system manuals, to our how to market, to our how to make money in property management. However we can be a resource, we're happy to do it. Until next time, and as always, my friends, I wish you success.